In this video, we'll build this static UI here using HTML and Tailwind CSS. So the goal of this project is to teach you how to use Tailwind CSS to style a website. So none of these, we are not going to implement any functionality here. So this input box doesn't work, or any of these icons or anything works. It's just a static website that I built and then I style it using Tailwind CSS. So we have this sidebar here and then we have this main page over here. So the goal of this project is to learn the basics of Tailwind CSS and how to use it to style a website. So let's jump to VS Code quickly. So in my VS Code, I just have the icons that I used in the project here. So I'll go ahead and then initialize a new project using npm to install before installing Tailwind CSS. So I'll say npm init --y. So I've initialized npm in my project. So I'll go ahead and create my index.html file, and then I'll use generate this boilerplate. Yeah, I'll close my terminal, and then the name of the project is Envision AI. I'll save that, and then in the body here I'll just put an h1 and put Envision AI there and save. And then I'll use live server to run this project quickly. So you can see this here. So what I'll do is I'll put this side by side with my text editor. Good. So as you can see, so when I change something here, so when I put a paragraph here like this and save, we see that the paragraph is displayed here. Let me zoom in a bit. You can see the paragraph text there. So I'll just remove it. So the next thing we'll do is to install Tailwind CSS. So I'll just go to my browser here and search for Tailwind CSS. If you don't know what Tailwind CSS is, a Tailwind CSS is a utility first CSS framework packed with classes like Flex and Co. So unlike component-based CSS frameworks like Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS just provides you with responsive classes that you can use to style your website. So if you want a component-based utility framework like for Tailwind CSS, you can check out things like ChatCN. So we want to install Tailwind CSS, so I'll just copy the npm command here and go to the terminal in my VS Code. I'll just clear it and then paste the command there and install Tailwind. Then I'll copy the next command, which is npx Tailwind CSS init. So let's wait for this to install quickly. Good. So it has installed. I'll clear the terminal and then paste the next command, which is npx Tailwind CSS init, to create a Tailwind config file for us. So by so doing, it has created this Tailwind config file for us. So this is where we can configure our Tailwind for our project. So I'll be adding some simple configurations here quickly. So in the content here, I would like to Tailwind to search for index.html, because that's the only HTML page you are going to work with for Tailwind classes. And then I have some colors, so I will not be using the default colors of Tailwind. Tailwind has its own color palette, but I can just extend that color palette by providing my default color object. So in this extends object, I can extend any other Tailwind CSS that I want to do. So I can extend the font and background color or any other thing. So the colors here, I'm just putting in my own colors, which is the dark color, the light color, and then the light dark color, red color, and other colors that we'll be using. So that's all for the Tailwind config. The next thing I'd like us to do is the font that we'll be using for this project. So we'll be using a Google font. So I'll just go to Google Fonts quickly and look for this font. So I'll just come here to Google Fonts. Let's see this. So we'll be using this font called Rubik. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and copy the embedded and then paste it above my. So right before that, I'll paste it here and save, and then I'll go to my I'll create an input. I'll create an input.css file, and this is where I'll copy and paste the Tailwind classes that will be compiled for us. So when I come back to Tailwind over here, so I'll just copy these Tailwind directives. So they are called Tailwind directives. I'll paste it here, and then we'll run this command. So I'll just copy it from the Tailwind website here. So I'll paste this here. So instead of outputting into the source folder, I don't have a source folder. So what I'll do is I'll change the name to style.css here, and then remove the source directory here. So what I'll do is when I run this command will compile this input at Tailwind directives. It will compile this input.css file and then spit out a style.css file, which I'll link in my index.html file. So as you can see, we don't have any style.css file here. So let me run the command quickly. Upon running the command, you see that now we have this this giant style.css file, which are Tailwind classes. So they are just classes that we'll be working with. So what I'll do next is, so when I go to this page here, you can see that the font has not been applied, and then our styles are not applied as well. So after the font link, I'll link my style.css file quickly and save. So upon doing that, you see that the Tailwind CSS classes are the default classes are being applied to this H1 element. So what I'll do next, in order to use our font that I have included, I'll go to my input here, and then I'll target the body element and then say font family and change it to our rubric font here and save. And as you can see, that font has been applied here. So I think that's all for the configuration. So the next thing we'll do is to start building our project. So in my index.html file here, I'll just move this h1 and then put a main element here. On this main element, I'm going to put my a class here. So I'll just write class, and then in order to make this a flex box, so when I come to the website here, so this is not responsive though, so I'll just enlarge this quickly and then bring this out here. So when I enlarge this, as you can see, we have this is zoom in, that's why it is distorted. Let me just reset this quickly. So we have this sidebar here and then this main layout over here. So that's what will go into our main element. So this is our website right now. It is empty, so I'll just minimize this. So the main, I'll put a class here of flex. When I put a class here of flex, this main element becomes a flex container. Then I'll say text of white, because we'll be changing the background color, and then I'll say width or w dash full, which will give it a width of 100%. So what you can see here is from an extension that I've installed, a Tailwind CSS extension that I have installed. So just go to your extensions tab here and search for Tailwind CSS, and that should pop up. So and then install this extension. So since I have it installed already, I don't have to install it again. So upon installing it, it will give you the auto completion that you can see that I am getting of the Tailwind CSS classes. Then finally, I'll add h dash screen, which will give it a height of 100 VH, and then in this main element, I'll have my sidebar and then the main element. So first of all, let's start with the sidebar. So I'll just put a comment here, sidebar, which is going to be a section, and then on this section I'll add a class of bg, then our dark color. So remember, in our Tailwind config here, we have these colors, that custom colors that I've defined here, extending the Tailwind CSS color palette. So we have the dark color there, and then p-4, which is the same as padding. So padding all around, which is what, 1 rem, and then flex is also going to be a flex container, and then flex dash core, which will change it to a flex column, to flex column. So when I override, you see that the flex direction is what? Set to column. And I'll say justify between. Let me write that properly. Justify between, and then I'll give it a width. So in Tailwind CSS, if you want to give a custom class, you use this square bracket, and then you put your custom style there. So this is how we do it. So I have W dash 17%. It should take 17% of the entire width. So that will be the sidebar, the classes for the sidebar. And then inside the section, I have a div here, and this div is having a class of flex, a gap of 2, and then item center, and then justify between. So the item center is align item center, and then justify between is justify content space between, and then the flex is just to turn it to a flex container, and then the gap to give it a gap of what? 0.5 frame. So that's it on that div. So inside that div, we have a div again. So a div with a class of flex, and then gap of 2 again, and then item center, and then text xl, and then font of bold, and then that's all. So text SL is just setting the font size and then the line height on this div element. So that's it on that div. So inside this div, we have an image. So I'll just put img here. So the source of our image is in these images. Then I'll put the logo here and save. So when I go back to my web page here, you see that the logo is now appearing here. So the logo is now appearing here. So what I'll do next is after the image, I have this h1 here. So the h1, I'll just put the name of the company, which is Envision AI, and save. So when I go back to my website here, you see this here as well. Then the next thing I'll do is outside this div, I'll create another div again, and then in this div, I'll put an image here, and then the image here will be images, then the edit image here, and then I'll put some classes here. So I'll say class of size of 6. So the size class here set both the width and then the height to the same what value. And on this first image here, I'll add a class here of size 8 and save. And then we'll come here, I'll say on hover, the cursor should be cursor pointer, and save. Then when I go to my page here and then reload, so you see this class being applied. I think there is something wrong. I'll go ahead and then restart the server again. I'll close the server and then restart the server again and see if these classes are being applied. Okay, so after reloading the server, it is now working. So as you can see, our background color and then these contents are being aligned side by side here using Flexbox. So let's go back to our index.html file quickly. So in the sidebar again, so after that div there, so I'll go out of that div. I'll go out of these two divs here, and then I'll add another div here. I'll add another div here with a class of flex core to change the flex direction to column, justify center, and then flex of what? Wrap, and then a gap of 4, and then text sm to change the font size, and then the line height. Then let me see. In that div here, the div we just created here, I'll write a paragraph here, and I'll say introduction to JavaScript, and then put some dots here. So over here, I'll add a class of, let's say, on hover. So when you hover over this paragraph element, the background color should be light dark color, and then the paragraph of 2, and then rounded XL, and then cursor pointer as well. So and save. So when I go back to over here and then reload this again, okay, we can see it down here, over here. I hope you can see this down over here. I'll just go back to restart my dev server here. I think my dev server is worrying me. Good. Then I'll reload this quickly. So as you can see this, when I hover over it, you see that the cursor is now pointed, and then the background color is now kind of light dark over here. So I'll go ahead, and then I have 3 of these, so they are of the same thing, so I'll just copy those ones over quickly. So these other 2 paragraphs, and copy them over quickly, and then go to the page here. So as you can see, they are all having that same effect here. So let's go back to VS Code, and then out of that div, we have another div again. So we have another div with a class of flex. Let me just come up here with a class of flex, gap of 2, and then items center, and save. So inside that, we have an image here, which the images, which is the star.svg, and then we have another div here with a paragraph of upgrade plan, and then another paragraph with get all envision AI models and more. And this second paragraph is having a class of text gray 400. So this is a color from TailwindCSS color palette, then text XM, and then save. Let's go back and see what we are getting here. So when I reload this, good. So as you can see, we have this aspect here. So this is the original thing we have here, and this is what, let me just bring this one here. This is what we have so far. I think the text gray didn't apply. I think my development server is, let me just restart it again, and then go back here. So you see that being applied here. So with that, I think we are done with the sidebar here. So the next thing we'll do is this main layout over here, this chart layout over here. So let's see. That is also, let's go back to VS Code. So that's also a section on its own. So I write section, and it's having some classes. So the classes are BG dash light dark color. To give it that color, then I'll say flex of 1, and then flex call to change the flex direction to column, then p-8, so that's padding 8, which is equivalent to 2 rem, then justify between, and then I think that's all for that. So when I go back here and then try reloading this, I think my dev server is messing up, so I'll just stop it and then run it again. I don't know what is causing this though. Good. So now you see that the color has changed to this dark light dark color, so as compared to what we have here. So what I'll do next is, let's go ahead and then add the contents to this section. So first of all, we'll have a div. So I'll just put a div here, and it's having some classes. So the first class is flex, then justify between, then items center, and that's all for the class. And inside that div, we have an h1 with envision AI And then we have a paragraph. We have a paragraph here which is having some initials. So just like kind of like an account something. So we'll put a class of p-2, font bold, text center, bg-red color, and then rounded full, which will change the border radius there. So when I reload this, you don't see anything happening. So I'll just go back. Pardon me for this. I have to find a fix for this. What is causing this? So I'll just reload that, and you see that being applied here as well. So just like what we have in the original project here. So I'll go ahead, and then let's go back to our VS Code. And then out of that div, we have another div again with a class. So the classes are flex, then flex call to change the flex direction to column, item center, and then a gap of what? 8, and save. And then inside that we have the image here, which is just the logo. So I'll go to the images folder and then put the logo there again. And then out of that we have another div here, then it's some classes. So this div is having a class of flex. So we are just using flexbox in styling our page here. You can use grid, but in this project I'm just sticking to flexbox for now. So items center, justify center, justify center, and then a gap of 8. And then inside that we have some divs, so which have, the first one is having the border class, and then p-6, the rounded xl, border dash yellow color to set the border color, and then on hover. So when you hover over it, we change the cursor to pointer, and then when you hover over it, we change the background color to this custom color value. So whenever we want to write our custom color value, we use this bracket notation, and then we put our CSS class there. So I'll just write this color here, 323232 A4, and then I'll add the transitions, and I'll transition all to add a little bit of a transition property on this. Then I'll add a duration of 500 milliseconds here and save. And then inside that div, inside the div here, we have the image, so which is in the images folder. Then the image we are targeting here is the bulb image or the SVG. And then we have the paragraph, which I'll just put the text here. I'll just go ahead and then copy the text for that paragraph and put it here and save. So that's all for the first div. So before I show that, let me just reload, rebuild this, and then go to the page here. So as you can see, this is what we are working with here. So I think there is something off here. So let me check this out quickly, what I have messed up. So I think this paragraph must be in this div, not out of it. So when I go back and save good, so this is what we have over here. So I have two other divs that are the same styling. So I'll just go ahead and copy the second one. So I'll just copy and go to my text editor here. So out of this div, I'll paste the second one, and then so we have the location of the images is in the images, and then CMD image. Then I'll copy the third one down again. So I'll just go ahead and copy this out because they have the same styling. That's why I'm just copying it and then pasting them. So images, then the edit and save. So let's go to the browser and see what we have there. So we have this out here, as you can see them here. So for some reason we are not getting the classes. Let me see, probably I have to restart my server again. The compiling. Let's see that. So you see this being applied. So let's see what you are getting. So there are 4. So final one. So let me just copy the final one here quickly and then paste it down here. Obviously, let me just stop the server and then come back to it again. So I'll run the server, not the server though, but compiling. For some reason it is not rebuilding by default because I added this -- watch flag here, but for some reason it is not rebuilding. So when I reload this, you are not getting the image because I think the path is wrong. So I'll just go ahead and then change the path to images/academic and save. So that's all for that section. And when we go back, hopefully our image is showing nicely. So that's all for this div. So we'll go out of that div. So the first one, the second one, the third one, we'll go out of that div, and then I'll bring another div again. So another div again, which is the final div there. So it's having a class of flex column or flex core, which gives flex direction of column, then gap of 4, which is equivalent to 1 rem, then justify center, and then items center. So the justify center sets the justify content to center, item center sets the align items to center. And then that's all for the div. And then inside the div, I have my input element here, and then I'll just put a placeholder here saying message envision AI and save. Then we add some classes here. So before that, let's go to the browser and see what we are getting. So this is the input box here. So we can't see anything even as we are typing. So let's go ahead and style it. So it's having a class of, so the first one is py-4, and the py class sets the padding top and bottom to 1 rem because 4 is equivalent to 1 rem, and then px-8, that's the padding left and right to what 2 rem. Then rounded full sets the border radius to a very huge pixel value, which will make it rounded. And then w-2/3, so this is to set the width, which is equivalent to 66.666%. And then the background color to this custom color value here, which is 2f 2f 2f. Then outline of none, the outline of none class sets the outline property. And then that's all for the class. So let's check this out. Then when I reload, we don't see anything. So let me just come here. If you know the fix for this, probably I should have used a bundler like Vite for this. If you know the fix for it, let me know in the comments below. And under the input, we have this paragraph here, which will be having a class of text gray 400. So I'll just go ahead and copy the text for this paragraph and paste it here and save, and go back to the browser. So as you can see, we have this. So this is what we are building here. So looking at the original project, I think it looks like it. So that is all for this project. That's all we want to achieve here. So this project is to show you how to use TailwindCSS to build beautiful and responsive layout. So you can go ahead and then make this layout responsive. So when I try viewing this on mobile screen, you see that everything is distorted. So you can make this responsive using Tailwind CSS classes. So for instance, I can come to the top here and then make the sidebar. Where's the sidebar here? So I'll say by default the sidebar will be what? Hidden. By default will be hidden, but on, let's say, medium screen and then up, it should be display what? Flex. So when I go back to the browser over here, you see that when I change this to mobile screen, the sidebar will be what? Hidden by default. The reason why we are not seeing this is I have to rerun my code here, rebuild my classes here, and hopefully when it comes, you see that on mobile screens we don't see the sidebar, and I can change the layout over here to be flex column by default. So when I come down here out of the sidebar quickly here, so this second section, which is the main layout, so this is the div that enhouses all the divs. So by default it is flex, it is display flex and then flex column, and I can make it to be column to be, I can set it to display column by default, and then whenever we are on a big screen, it will change to what? Flex row. So that's all for this video. So I'll just go back to my browser. Then that's all for this video. Please subscribe, like, and follow for more videos and contents like this. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.